Council member, as well as Supreme Commander of Mobile Task Force Alpha 1, also known as the Red Right Hand. Hello everyone. Today I am extremely excited about our reading. It is another Keter class SCP reading, this time coming from the Gerbil Child. He or she has requested this reading. I'm assuming that they are in Mobile Task Force Phi 1, although I'm not for sure. They're probably a separate researcher or whatever. However, they have requested this audio file, and I have actually dealt with this SCP Keter class before. In fact, numerous times actually. The last time I dealt with it I think was several months ago. But anyway, they have agreed for this file, and I agreed to read it for them. So let us get in with this file for today. Item number SCP-1155. Object Class Keter. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1155 is currently contained in a disused parking lot adjacent to an abandoned shopping center in the city metropolitan area. The building is to be marked condemned, and access to both it and the car lot park should be restricted by Foundation personnel posing as security guards from the front company. Civilians are to be deterred from entering the site and supplied with standard cover story 47, structural instability sinkhole, if they inquire as to why. SCP-1155 must be kept under constant observation by motion tracking security cameras. If SCP-1155 is observed to vanish, Mobile Task Force Phi 1, also known as the City Slickers, should be notified immediately. Personnel should not routinely attempt to view SCP-1155 directly. Observation must be conducted remotely. Following Incident 1155-B, it has been observed that completely enclosing SCP-1155 has a tendency to hasten a relocation event. Revised procedures now recommended the evacuation of the immediate area surrounding SCP-1155 to the minimum distance necessary to prevent contact with the general public. Unless SCP-1155 manifests in a highly visibility location, or anywhere near preventing public egress is impossible. At the present time, SCP-1155 cannot be permanently contained by any known means. Approximately every 2 to 4 months, SCP-1155 has been observed to spontaneously relocate itself to other suburban environments, moving as little as 15 meters from its current position up to a maximum observation distance of 800 kilometers. These relocation events can also be triggered by damage to the surface that SCP-1155 adheres to, interruption of an attack, any attempt to reduce the size of SCP-1155's confinement space to prevent visual contact. Therefore, current containment efforts are centered around swiftly asserting SCP-1155's new location and isolating it from the public view. When such a relocation event occurs, Mobile Task Force Phi 1 should be immediately deployed alongside local assets to locate the new site as quickly as possible, re-implement containment procedures, and detain any witnesses. Survivors of an attack should be detained. Uninjured witnesses may be administered a Class A anesthetics and then released. Description: SCP-1155 manifests as a work of street art graffiti depicting the form of a humanoid creature with stony forelimbs, claw-like hands, and the head and feathers of an owl. The depicted pose is variable but tends towards a predatory stance, with eyes that appear to track the viewer. Anyone viewing this image directly will experience a compulsion to investigate it further. Victims describe a nervous fascination and a desire to draw closer. This can be resisted with effort, especially if the subject is aware of SCP-1155's anomalous properties. If the subject approaches to within 2 meters and is not in line of sight of another person, they will be subjected to a violent attack. suffering severe lacerations, dismemberment of extremities, total or partial removal of soft body parts, and penetrating head trauma consistent with those that would be inflicted by a large beak or talons. The attack generally takes about 6 seconds to conduct, upon which both SCP-1155 and the victim will vanish. SCP-1155 will reappear elsewhere in the visual manner of a relocation event within several days. Attacks can be halted before this event by re-establishing line of sight to the victim, but this is not recommended. See Record of Incident 1155A. Attempts to track where victims are taken by equipment test subjects with GPS locators have also failed. Based on the tested interruptions performed by predefined intervals, the attack follows a defined pattern. The victim will first be restrained, and the eyes and tongues will be removed, rapidly followed by the amputation of the hands and feet. The victim will then be disemboweled and the intestines and stomach removed. Death usually follows due to shock or rapid exsanguination, but only if the attack is interrupted by visual contact. The fate of victims who disappear along with SCP-1155 at the conclusion of the attack is unknown. Now, there are a few incident logs here which I will read. 2 surviving D-Class personnel used for attack interruption test were given medical treatment and kept alive in the aftermath of the event. Both were incoherent and could not adequately communicate what had happened to them, though D89786, whose eyes were removed during the attack, claimed to still be able to see and provide a description of a larder containing bodies of previous victims of SCP-1155, along with the entity itself. D89786 escaped from on-site quarters during the containment breach by SCP and was persuaded by local law enforcement in nearby who were told he was a severely disturbed patient from a local mental hospital. Officer reports they saw the subject walking into an alleyway, but before they could apprehend, a scream was heard, and when they rounded the corner, it was found that D89786 had disappeared. The alleyway was a dead end with no visible exits. D89789, both eyes, tongues, hand, and feet were removed from the attack halted, was successfully transferred to site. A period of rapid relocations was noted in SCP-1155, where it was observed in several public places with a posture that suggested hunting, tracking behavior. SCP-1155 appeared for several hours, high up on the side of the building in full view of many witnesses, who fortunately could not access it. In view of the difficulties of containment, Site Commands made the decision to bring D89789 back into the city. SCP-1155 was observed to appear several times on the walls, advertisement boards, and bridges along the transport vehicle's path. D89789 was observed to become increasingly agitated and hysterical during this process. D89789 was transferred to a remote location on the edge of city limits, placed in front of SCP-1155, whereupon visual contact was broken. SCP-1155 and D89789 disappeared, and SCP-1155 resumed previous pattern of manageable relocation behavior. Doctor's note: after an attack caused by SCP-1155, it is now recommended that survivors be left, otherwise this random pattern will of course occur again. Anyway, Incident 1155B. Elements of Mobile Task Force Phi 1 located SCP-1155, an abandoned subway station after the most recent relocation event. Team leader made the decision to observe SCP-1155 with a vending machine until more containment resources arrived, on the basis that there were not enough task force members on site to guarantee a secure perimeter, and local transits were known to use the area for shelter. SCP-1155 immediately displaced to a nearby children's playground, causing casualties before it could again be located. Due to highly public nature of this location, a decision was made at command level to again provoke a displacement event, resulting in the current containment location. Containment at the current location was expensive, requiring that an entire shopping center be acquired by the Foundation, and did so fortunately closed, but the revised containment procedures have resulted in the longest time since relocation event to date. Alright, well, there is also a note at the bottom here left by moi. I will decide to read it for you. The last few containment locations may point to a disturbing trend. Previously, SCP-1155 seemed to have a pattern of appearing in low-traffic urban areas, often abandoned buildings or quiet underpasses, at risk of anthropomorphism. It appears to have become emboldened and will now readily appear in public spaces, which makes containment difficult. Although the objections of the containment team leave the damn thing uncovered, better we lose a few urban explorers or noisy kids every couple of years, rather than risking having it abduct more people before we can locate it each time. And yes, I know what you're saying. Oh, but Dr.Cool, that is inhumane. Well, like I said, better to lose a few than many. It's one of the lesser evils that you must pick here in the Foundation. But anyway, thank you, the Gerbil child, for your request. I hope that if you are studying this case, that it goes smooth for you. Normally, I would of course ask for requests, however, I still am bogged down with many more requests, and so the request must be put off for at least a time until I can get all of these done. I apologize. But anyway, this is Dr.Cool, 05 Command, signing out.